What's good YouTube, and welcome to the house. As somebody who bought and sold cards for 8 years for a living, in my entire market career, never did I think I would be saying here on Market Watch, the Collector's Tin promo market is getting targeted for buyouts. It's actually many of them, and people now have come to like the aesthetic where people used to make fun of you for using 10 promos in the past. But with Stardust Dragon, I actually just can't understand this buyout. I'm trying to wrap my head around it, and I'll give the counter arguments. $28 to $30 for this bad boy. You have the Ghost Rare, the Ultimate Rare, the First Ed Ultra, and people don't really like the aesthetic of the Ultra, so you can count this. Let's give it third rarity above the First Ed Ultra. I still think that for Yusei's Ace Monster, this is a bit high when you look all the way back to the 2002 tins, one of my personal favorite cards, Summon Skull, and you see a price of $27. And this is starting to be the fallout from the buyout. Maybe these people just don't want to make sales, they don't want to list up, but for so long, this was a trash card after all the reprints, a $2 card in the back of people's binders, and there have been multiple buyouts for Stardust in the past. I just can't wrap my head around this specific version. But it's not just, Stardust or Summon Skull that's high. Also, Elemental Hero Neos, we can blame Simo for this one, right, is towards $30, but this is more so its highest rarity. This is the kind of foiling for Neos that people prefer the most, so it makes a bit more sense, especially with it being splashed into the metagame today. You have the Predaplant Verte Anaconda bringing out Rainbow Neos. I actually got my butt kicked by this by a subscriber on Dueling Book, so I do understand. I actually underestimated this a little, why people are so about this card in Rainbow Neos right now after experiencing it firsthand, but I cannot fathom Stardust besides the sealed tins. Their prices are skyrocketing, and maybe people draw the line to, oh, the promos are what's guaranteed. They want this little piece of Yu-Gi-Oh history. That's the closest I can come to the comprehension of something like this, besides its aesthetic and that it has aged. I mean, I'm so Yu-Gi boomer, I've lived through all these eras. Tell me, maybe as a newer collector, why you're coming after this piece of history. Maybe it was your first 10, you got back out of Yu-Gi-Oh, you got back in. I'd like to understand why people are going after something newer like Stardust when it comes to 10 promos. Crush Card Virus spiked up. Kali Effect featured this on Get This Before It Skyrockets, and I think it was a pretty good pick overall. The Ultimate Rares have sat low for a very long time, and I pointed that out, but I want to show you why they were so cheap. I think he said something along the lines about he did not understand why they're so cheap. The unlimited run of the Ultimate Rares, which is why I only mess with first edition when it comes to the Duelist pack. Like when I vended, it had an unlimited run that was very, very thick, and then it had a second printing when it comes to these cards. That's why there's such a gap. So you see these packs here, they actually look pretty high in price for a Duelist pack, but then we go and sniff around. There was a huge failed product called Kaiba's Collector Box. Yugi's did a little better because Yugi's Reloaded was a better starter deck, but it comes with a structure deck, a big card, and then 6 Duelist packs, 3 of them being Kaiba's, and unlimited once again. And on Amazon, this is such a failed product that you can go on Amazon right now, and it's $17 shipped to your front door. That's pretty ridiculous, isn't it? And why it failed is it took up so much space in shops, and then people didn't want this third run of it, even packaged with a structure deck that did relatively well on the secondary market. So people busted these open, they sell them separately. The packs, the structure decks individually do okay, but you can still find this and try to chase after it if you're looking for something fun to do maybe. And the reason it's so high on eBay compared to its MSRP of 20 back in the day is that, well, it's really hard to ship. It's just freaking big. But that would be why Crush has stayed so low, is this excess of packs. I remember buying this from a Barnes & Noble sale, I think for $10 a piece during that 50% off. I was like, sure, I can't ignore these. Or it was GameStop or something when they were trying to get rid of them and clearance them out. So that's why there's just this surplus of unlimited Duelist Pack Kaiba. But I still think it was a pretty good buy at $13. I just personally try to avoid it when I'm thinking about collectible cards that I want to keep. I always like that First Ed stamp, but it's been undervalued for a very long time. He's absolutely right. Earthbound Immortals are going off market for the first edition. Who wants to pay $540 for a playset of first edition Earthbound Immortals? Not me. So I think these are being compared to the Sacred Beast a little bit, even though the Sacred Beast got their own structure deck. People are looking for these collectible groups of cards out of the past, and here we go into 5Ds. Yeah, we'll get support one day. Actually, they got somewhat recent support in a Duelist pack. That being said, we go and look for first edition copies, and we find, oh, here, Kapakapu's pretty reasonable. 40 to 50. That's reasonable for these cards. We go and look at Uru, and you're going to be paying quite a bit more when it comes to first editions. Here we go. We've got 80, 85, and then 150. Asla Piscu, we're gonna see the lowest first editions. I think something similar around there. I always thought this guy was drinking through a straw. $41 with one motivated seller, and then we see 51, and that's motivated because then we're back into the 100 range. Karyuha, this was the guy you popped with Diagram and actually got to blow up entire fields. Let's see what he's at after all those buyouts. He is towards $45 before he is 100. He actually was 100 when I was loading tabs yesterday, so some motivated sellers actually noticing these buyouts and going in at half the price of what they were listed at. We see the lowest first ed here, though, is 90 for our good old whale boy. We got Kusilu. He's going to be a grand total if you're looking at him for first edition. And I'll get to my point here in a bit. $50 by a couple motivated sellers, and then he skyrockets towards the $90 listing. So you're already getting a sneak peek. I clicked too far. Elemental Hero Stratos also had an E. Through all of these, they're being compared in a bit as people look at what happened to the Sacred Beast. $250, $500, $1,000, I'll pay $1,000. People are going crazy over them right now from the GX era, and they're looking for the next one. So what's the next thing that this is going to happen to? These are getting targeted and focused straight off the market for the first editions, and they've been collected for a while, but towards that $18, $20 mark, and now it's just bubbling up with the rest of the market. People are looking for any and everything to invest in that they could see as collectible, not just playable. And here's another piece of Yu-Gi-Oh history going off the market when it comes to these crazy cards. Now, Stratos hit the $100 mark. We see it falling back down just a little bit. Again, I just want to emphasize OTS Pack 9 was shorted. So if you're looking at cards from the set, there are less of them than pretty much any other OTS pack. It got replaced by 5 in stores for a little bit. But this current OTS pack that was running, we'll have to see how that does in history, as the new one is already creeping upon us due to release. We'll have to see, quantities of that too. But right now, OTS Pack 9, that's why it's been going so crazy. It's that there's really not quantities to replace a lot of these cards, and they're not going to fall out anytime soon for the ones that are getting focused. Cosmic Cyclone, for a lot of its highest rarity versions, you see the old secret rare going back up to 20, and personally, I prefer its aesthetic to the ultimate rare. I don't feel like the ultimate turned out that great, but some people do like it. The ulti is going into the stratosphere, I guess out of this world, you could say, for Cosmic Cyclone. I have a tendency to say Galaxy Cyclone with this card, and we see it's towards $67, $68. I think this is pretty ridiculous, but it is, spell and trap removal is revered by a lot of players. That's why you see Ulti MST get multiple buyouts, Twin Twisters, and here we have the Cosmic Cyclone getting focused, as it is one of the best spell and trap removals for dealing with Eldritch stuff and all that good stuff. Rescue Rabbit first editions have been bought out, and there is no shortage of listings of people noticing that on the market and piling up at the $30 mark, but nobody really wants to pass back down deals towards the $20 marks. I got money, I've been waiting for this. You see them all listing up like this together. Good luck making your sales rates with that. I think you all shouldn't be that greedy, and you'll see listers at 25 before too long. Spellbook of Knowledge, the original first edition, has been going up. I still think this is a great penny stonk for the super rare, and it is from the Megatons, where it's same rarity, where you have another ultra comparable. But here we go, this engine is getting focused once again. Big Brain, the first edition's $669, nice, before it's $670. So people just looking at this as the highest rarity version of it, and they're taking it off the market. Infinite Impact Permanence first ed originals have very few on market at the $70 mark despite the reprint. This is why I always tell you, whenever we have multiple comparables, go first edition. Now, sometimes people go for first edition of something that's newer. First ed, that stamp really only matters once you get towards the reprints of these cards, and that's where it really plays the big part. And you see here, $70 freaking dollars, and actually mixed in between people trying to sell their unlims before they're just gone. The unlims start at like 50 some odd though, so don't take any of those mixed in there seriously. But the first edition, wow, that is really holding even where it was versus the previous times before the reprint was coming. That held up way better than I thought. So if you listen to me, you got in on those while they're 50. They've actually improved since then. Floodgate Trap Hole, I didn't know it was going up in price for its previous versions and running off the market pretty quick. Trap Tricks, I feel like there's been a lot of those buyouts lately. It's kind of that third string deck, but a lot of people do enjoy it. Here we go, $4 for these. Evenly matched first edition, $45. Speaking of first ed originals, it's skyrocketing. I remember when all this was $35, these were lining up at 30s. The Ultra is still hanging around there. You see a bump up, $35 for the Mega Pack version, and this is starting to go the same way as Impermanence right now. Pretty impressive. Pot of Acquisitiveness only has one printing and is going up in price slowly. I have no clue if this is actually seeing play in anything in Possible Therio, but hey, let's wait, can it work on spell and traps? Let's read this. Targeted, nope, it's banished monsters, so not anything with Eldritch. Not really sure, besides maybe somebody's predicting Ghost Reaper coming back into a metagame. Interesting, but again, only one printing in it is a pot card. Amazonas Baby Tiger has been rebought out. I know that they have shown they're restructuring what we thought this would be. There's more toon cards than we thought, so not every card's gonna make it. But really, you think one of the ultra rares is gonna be missing, and you think you've hit the nail on the head with the cute, fluffy stuff coming out. I would not be doing legendary duelist buyouts right now, even if you think you're big brain, even if you think something is going to be missing. Chill out. Wait to see what's in there. You all are mad lads doing these buyouts despite possible / almost guaranteed reprints coming out for a lot of things. But then again, the market's never been crazier. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed this conversation. Bookmark that TCG player link in the description down below, costing you nothing extra and supporting the channel directly for the cards you'd already be buying. I really do appreciate the people that are using it during this time. Ad rubs have been pretty darn bad, and I love being able to rely more so on you guys when it costs you nothing extra. So it does help that back and forth. It's not like the Patreon where you're, supporting directly that way. Instead, you're getting something back out of it that you'd already be buying. So I do kind of love that sponsorship model. And yeah, what do you guys think of this market though? Like, everything's so just insane when it comes to certain cards and how they're flying. They're just they're gone. It feels like an instant. You didn't even have time to think about it. That's a lot of these places. But I was actually pretty pleased. Last night, a lot of these Earthbound Immortals, they were lowest 90 to 100. So a bunch popping up at 45. You do see people actually trying to make sales in this market, it would appear, versus the people just trying to get infinite out of people that might be desperate for the card.